What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Friday, July 9th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 14 game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. I like Taijuan Walker with a 4% pitching advantage over a low salary batting team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Taijuan Walker, he pitches his best ball versus righty batters, only giving up a .557 OPS versus righties, and he's facing 5 righties here tonight. Now, the Pirates have only hit 1 of his last 5 pitches. That sample size is way too small, so let's throw that out. He's 9,500 FanDuel salary, and he's 500 less on DraftKings. Projected at 30 fantasy points here tonight. He has an ERA of 2.44. His record is 7-3 on the season, pitching an average of 81 pitches per game, averaging 32 fantasy points per game. He scored 32, 27, and 22 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Taijuan Walker here versus the Pittsburgh Pirates. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. I like Max Stassi with a 40% batting advantage over Marco Gonzalez. Max Stassi is batting 12% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .950 OPS versus lefties. And Marco Gonzalez, he pitches his worst ball versus righty batters, 27% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .858 OPS versus righties. Max Stassi is 3 for 10, batting .300 with a 1.2 OPS versus Gonzalez, and 2 of those 3 hits were for home runs. He's only 2,800 FanDuel salary. He's 1,100 more on DraftKings, projected at 9.3 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 34, 9, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Max Stassi here versus Marco Gonzalez. I also like Gavin Sheets. Here's a value play for you. Gavin Sheets, he has 107% batting advantage here, but that's mostly because we've only got an OPS versus righties, but he is batting a 1.168 OPS versus righties, and he's facing Jorge Lopez, who pitches his worst ball versus lefty batters, 17% worse than his other pitches, giving up a 1.005 OPS versus lefties. Gavin Sheets is only 2,500 FanDuel salary. He's 1,200 more on DraftKings, projected at 10.1 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 3, 3, and 6 fantasy points in his last 3 games. And Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 10.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Gavin Sheets here versus a low-salary pitcher, Jorge Lopez. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Jonathan Schoop batting against Kenta Maeda. Jonathan Schoop, he's batting a .775 OPS versus righties, and Kenta Maeda is giving up a .645 OPS versus righties. But the reason that I like this pick is because Jonathan Schoop is 5 for 10, batting .500 with a 1.345 OPS versus Maeda. One of those 5 hits is for a home run. and he's only $2,700 FanDuel salary. He is $2,500 more on DraftKings, so I love that FanDuel price. He's projected at 13.6 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 12 and 7 fantasy points in his last 2 games. And Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 9.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Jonathan Scoop here versus Kenta Maeda.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on.
Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I'm going to give you a value play here. I like Jake Burger with a 73% batting advantage over that low salary pitcher, Jorge Lopez. Jake Burger is batting a 1.454 OPS versus righties, and Jorge Lopez is giving up a .836 OPS versus righties. There's no at-bats versus Lopez yet, and Jake Burger is only $2,000 FanDuel salary and only $700 more on DraftKings. So I like that price on both sites. He's projected at 9.1 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 7 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 13 fantasy points last game, and we know Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 10.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Jake Burger as a value play here versus Jorge Lopez. Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. I like Brandon Crawford with a 16% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Paolo Espino. Brandon Crawford is batting 21% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .882 OPS versus righties, and Paolo Espino, he's giving up a .666 OPS versus lefties. Brandon Crawford is 2 for 3 with a 1.417 OPS versus Espino. He's $3,100 FanDuel salary, and he's $2,200 more on DraftKings. So I love that FanDuel price. Projected at 9.8 fantasy points here tonight. He's averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 12, 26, and 3 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Brandon Crawford here versus Paolo Espino. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. I got a stud pick for you. I like Yordan Alvarez with a 61% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Nestor Cortes. Yordan Alvarez is batting 47% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.131 OPS versus lefties, and Nestor Cortes, he's given up a 1.035 OPS versus lefties. So he pitches his worst ball versus lefty batters. Yordan Alvarez is 1 for 2 with a 2.5 OPS versus Cortes. That one hit was for a home run. He's $4,100 FanDuel salary. He's $700 more on DraftKings. Projected at 11.4 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 13 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 3, 0, and 57 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Yordan Alvarez here versus Nestor Cortes. I also like Franmil Reyes with a 9% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Brad Keller. Franmil Reyes is batting 25% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .936 OPS versus righties, Brad Keller is giving up a .679 OPS versus righties, but I like this pick because Franmil Reyes is 3 for 5, batting .600 batting average with a 1.467 OPS versus Keller. He's only $3,200 FanDuel salary. He's $700 more on DraftKings, projected at 13.7 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 13 fantasy points per game on the season, and he's been on fire, scoring 32, 19, and 48 fantasy points in the last 3 games. And Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 9.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Franmil Reyes here versus Brad Keller.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.